bear in my front yard. And that day, it was 5 days before that, 5.6, and a bear and a huge crowd of people are outside my front yard. And we just don't get bears right in our neighborhood near lake level. And I came out in front of the crowd. I said, what's going on? They go, there's a bear. And I said, you know what, people? Because my prediction was in the works. I said, there is going to be an earthquake that will be felt either here in the Tahoe region or in the Bay Area in the next 5 days. Or I said in the next week. And sure enough, there was. And I just saw that as an anomaly.
Let me give you another example. You know, when Jim talks about the fact that we all have magnetite in our pineal gland and all animals do.
Correct.
And therefore, if their magnetic field is being thrown
they
off.
Get disoriented, right.
So you are in harmony with that fact.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's how I won that's how, in a way, I won the second wager with Jim Berkland for the California quake wager. I said it would happen in Northern California. We had to wait 3.5 years for a 6.0 to happen. We were having a drought of strong quakes. And on January 9th, like I said, January 9th, 2010, we had the 6.5 offshore Northern California Petrolia. What gave me a heads up about a week prior, or maybe 10 days prior, was the sea lions. There was a mass exodus, and they were heading up they left San Francisco Bay, and, by pier, one of the piers where there's a restaurant there. Everybody would just love to watch the sea lions. And they headed up to British Columbia, and that was a major heads up to me that we were going to have a quake somewhere in Northern California. So I knew that I was going to win that wager, and I gave credit to the sea lions. So this fish thing with the BC and down in Southern California, it definitely is a sign. And I've seen it pan out before. Again, I just want to reiterate, I'm going back to, I really shouldn't blame Jim Berkland, because I believe the anchor that interviewed him, he tried to nail him to a day, and that is so difficult to do. It really is. But he kind of backed him up in a corner. So you're saying that this quake is going to happen on March 19th. And, that's not really fair, because, again, Jim Berkland's window is 8 days. So, there is a possibility. There really is a possibility that we could see a 5, a 6.0 happening in his window, March 19th to the 26th. But on the 19th, that's what I read earlier. That's why I gave my anti-prediction just for that day. Because we're all saying that March and April, a lot of us that are predicting that March and April are definitely shaky months from history. I believe history repeats itself. I use that as one of my tools. Certain areas that are known to have quakes, I go back to them. If there's a weird swarm happening, and then I get that gut instinct, I'll do a prediction. So, again, I'm not saying March and April we're not going to have a noteworthy quake. We definitely could. I'm just saying March 19th,
Don't panic.
Yeah, and that's what's bugging me, because I've gone there. I've gone there so many times, and it didn't happen. However, again, we had a swarm here in Tahoe, 2008, April 25th, the swarm ended up into a 5.0, and I felt it. I knew that night the quake was going to happen. I knew it. We had 4s, 2 4s the day prior when I was on radio, and the producer, the host, knew I was really amped. My animals were acting out so much for a week. It was over in Reno, the mogul sequence. They were getting shallow quakes, thousands. Scientists from all around the world were over in Reno. Even the mayor told us to expect the worst, get prepared. They didn't know what was causing it. They still don't. It was on an unknown fault. But we have 3 faults where I live, one right on the lake, 2 miles from my house at State Line. And so, of course, I was scared, because I thought, and the experts do that, it could trigger another quake over here. I live a block from the lake. That could cause a seiche, like a tsunami. So I was on edge, and I was getting slammed with emails from people in Reno thinking I'm some sort of guru, Callie, what do I do? What do I do? People were leaving their homes. They couldn't handle the shallow quakes. Veterinarians were telling owners to put their companion animals on Benadryl to calm the animals. I'm telling you, the swarm was terrible. So that's what I was saying earlier. If an aggressive swarm happens in California, somewhere in the places I mentioned, after we hang up, I'll take back my anti-prediction, and I'll get on the bandwagon. But right now, I'm looking at the map as we speak. There is not one red, well, there's a couple little red squares down in Southern California, but there's nothing to look alarmed about. I don't have any bad vibes at all looking at it.
Let me ask you this. A lot of us are very concerned now. We're like, oh, earthquakes, no problem. Radiation, we're concerned. Can you look into that intuitive part of you? And
like I said, with the radiation, yes, it's definitely going to escalate in Japan. I do believe that they're not going to be able to control it. I do believe that there is going to be a meltdown. They were talking about doing a Chernobyl action on it and just burying it with sand. That's great. I believe that there's going to be an explosion. I really do. And I'm not saying this to freak everybody out. I'm sure there's a lot of experts that agree with me. Today, they're downplaying it when you go to main sites, but they're saying that it's dire, it's grave. It's not working. The radiation is escalating. It's really hard to get in there. You know, you've heard it on the news, how, those 50 workers, they could only go in there in spurts of time. That one, I think I said earlier today on the show, that one expert, I interviewed him, actually, Professor Kaku. I interviewed him years ago, and he's a prolific author, and he writes about future. He was on the news yesterday saying it's like using squirt guns.
I saw that. It was really disturbing.
And I interviewed him, 20 years ago. He's fascinating, and he talked about everything that would happen from flat screen TVs to using our debit cards. And I wrote this up in many articles thinking he's cool, and from his book, but, a real interview too. He's cool, but flat screen TVs and no money? How weird is that? But look how that panned out. So I respect him, and he does have a PhD. I respect him totally. He calls it like it is. And again, a lot of our government doesn't even trust the Japanese government right now. So there's trust issues. I believe there's some cover-ups, because where are all the people going to run to? Where are they going to go? They're already evacuating some, but they can't have a mass evacuation. There's no way. It would just... You've seen this in movies. When there's chaos and panic, it's worse. That can kill too. And if you get everyone on freeways and airports, you just can't evacuate everyone. And remember, as I said earlier, Tokyo is the biggest city in the world. So, am I scared? Yes. Be prepared? Yes. As I told my brother last night, he lives in the house behind me, we're not even prepared for 3 days. I eat all fresh food. I don't like canned food.
I do too.
I know, and this is a problem. And so probably, I just got a new book deal. I'm so excited.
Congratulations on that new book deal on the Healing Power series.
Right, and this one's going to debut, the new one's coming out in October, and the one after that will be coming out right before 2012, December 21st, when the world ends. So, hey... If I'm a straggling survivor, I may be famous on another planet.
You're very funny.
Well,
you're very funny.
California girl. I mean, you've got it. There's really no humor in the situation.
I know.
But, panic doesn't help anybody. And it's so funny. As soon as I get off the phone, I'll call my brother. Bruce, we've got to go to Safeway. We've got to stock up. Oh, my God, the radiation. Ah! And I'll be buying seaweed at the, do that. Start eating seaweed. I'll be buying because it has iodine in it. I'll be buying seaweed at our natural health food store. I don't know. You have to take a fatalistic approach, If your time's up, your time's up. I could walk outside after this call, and one of those towering pine trees that surround me that I love could fall on me, and I could die,
Yes, true.
If it's our time, it's our time. I'm a psychic advisor. Yes, I'm a phone psychic. And as I tell so many of my callers, you cannot control people's behavior. Like, if your mate's going to leave you or if they're cheating, you can't control it. But you can control your own behavior on the way you react to it. And that's the same thing with this. You cannot control earthquakes. We're going to have earthquakes every day. We can't even control the radiation. It's beyond us. But you can control how you react to it.